When Keanu Reeves walks into a quiet hospital room in Los Angeles, he expects nothing more than to comfort a sick friend and quietly slip away. But then he hears it, a soft sob, quiet yet filled with a desperation he cannot ignore. A young woman, alone and overwhelmed, sits nearby, her world silently collapsing around her. Something about her sadness feels different, raw, heartbreaking, and strangely personal. In that moment, everything changes. Keanu doesn't yet realize it, but this simple hospital visit is about to draw him into a journey of heroism and compassion that he never expected, one that will forever redefine what it means to be truly human. Before we dive into this remarkable story, let us know where you're watching from, and if you enjoy heartfelt stories of kindness and heroism, subscribe to our channel, because tomorrow we have another special tale waiting just for you. Keanu Reeves quietly stepped into the softly illuminated halls of St. Mary's Hospital in Los Angeles, greeted by the familiar scent of antiseptics and freshly brewed coffee. The hum of hospital machinery and distant murmurs created an ambient rhythm, a gentle backdrop to his purposeful visit. His heart felt heavy, yet hopeful, as he had come to see Alex, his longtime friend whose unexpected illness had deeply unsettled him. He moved deliberately, glancing at the room numbers until he found Alex's room. With a gentle push, Keanu opened the door, his quiet entrance drawing Alex's attention immediately. Alex, pale and slightly worn, broke into a weary but genuine smile. "You know, you didn't have to come all the way out here," Alex joked softly, attempting a light-hearted tone despite the evident fatigue in his voice. Keanu approached with a reassuring smile, pulling up a chair beside Alex's bed. "And miss seeing you in this designer hospital gown?" "Never," Keanu quipped warmly, causing Alex to chuckle softly. Their conversation naturally shifted between shared memories, recent events, and even future plans. For a while, Keanu felt a comforting normalcy in their dialogue, momentarily forgetting the sterile surroundings and the constant hum of medical devices. Yet, beneath their laughter lingered an unspoken worry, a shadow of uncertainty that neither openly addressed. As they reminisced, Keanu's attention gradually drifted. From beyond the partially open door, a gentle, heartbreaking sound captured his ears, a soft sobbing, barely audible yet profoundly affecting. It was a sound filled with an unspoken agony, pulling his mind away from their conversation despite his best efforts to remain present. Alex noticed Keanu's distant gaze and the shift in his friend's expression. His smile faded gently, replaced with a thoughtful look. "Something wrong, man? You seem a little distracted." Keanu hesitated, torn between focusing fully on Alex and acknowledging the distressing sound just outside. He shook his head slightly, returning a gentle look to Alex. "It's just, I thought I heard someone crying. It sounded pretty rough." Alex gave a slow nod, understanding crossing his features. "Yeah, hospitals tend to carry a lot of that. Go ahead, check it out. I'll be here." Keanu placed a reassuring hand on Alex's shoulder, nodding gratefully. "I'll be right back. You rest up, okay?" Standing, he moved toward the hallway, each step cautious yet purposeful. Emerging from the room, he allowed his eyes to scan the corridor until they settled upon a solitary figure sitting on a bench nearby. The figure belonged to a young woman, hunched forward, shoulders trembling slightly with quiet, suppressed sobs. Dark, wavy hair fell gently around her face, obscuring most of her features, but clearly signaling distress. Keanu hesitated for a moment, wrestling internally. He knew that approaching a stranger in such a vulnerable moment required sensitivity, yet something about her quiet despair compelled him forward. With gentle, unassuming steps, he carefully approached, mindful not to startle her. He softly cleared his throat, keeping a respectful distance. "Hey, I'm sorry. I couldn't help but overhear. Are you okay?" She lifted her head slowly, startled yet not alarmed. Her tear-filled eyes met his briefly, surprise registering alongside recognition. But any hint of astonishment faded swiftly, overshadowed by the raw pain evident on her face. I'm sorry," she managed to say, hurriedly wiping away tears. "I didn't mean to disturb you." "You didn't," Keanu reassured gently, voice warm and comforting. "I just wanted to make sure you're all right. Hospitals can feel like lonely places." She gave a fragile nod, clearly hesitant but touched by his genuine concern. After a moment's silence, she spoke softly, voice cracking with emotional strain. "It's my dad. He needs a liver transplant urgently. We had everything ready, but insurance won't cover it, and we just can't afford the surgery. It's like every door has closed on us, and I don't know what else to do." Her voice trailed off into quiet sobs again, and Keanu felt an immediate wave of empathy. This wasn't just a casual encounter. It resonated deeply within him, touching old scars and lingering memories of personal losses. Her story struck him as achingly familiar, reminding him of moments in his life when he too had faced helplessness. Keanu sat gently beside her, maintaining a respectful distance yet offering silent support. He paused briefly before speaking again, his tone thoughtful and deeply sincere. "I can't pretend to understand everything you're going through, but if there's anything I can do to help, please tell me." She looked up again, this time maintaining eye contact as trust began to replace the initial shock. "My name's Olivia," she said quietly, her voice stronger but still edged with vulnerability. "Olivia," Keanu repeated gently, the sincerity in his voice unwavering. "I'm here visiting a friend, but maybe, just maybe, I'm here for another reason too. Tell me more. Maybe together, we can find a solution." Olivia's eyes glistened, a flicker of hope emerging through the despair that had clouded them moments before. For the first time in hours, she felt less alone, comforted by Keanu's genuine empathy and kindness. Back in his room, Alex, despite his fatigue, watched Keanu quietly from a distance. Even from afar, he sensed something extraordinary unfolding, recognizing a familiar intensity in his friend's gentle posture. He smiled faintly, proud yet unsurprised by Keanu's innate compassion. In that quiet hallway, a simple moment of shared humanity had altered the trajectory of both their lives. Keanu realized that his visit, initially intended merely to offer comfort to an old friend, had unexpectedly transformed into something far deeper. It had become a pivotal moment, weaving his fate together with Olivia's in a profound way he could never have predicted. Keanu Reeves took a slow breath as he stood quietly in the hospital hallway, the low buzz of fluorescent lights overhead adding to the anxious rhythm of his thoughts. Moments ago, he had left his friend Alex's bedside, promising a quick return, yet now found himself caught in a delicate situation. He looked down at Olivia, noticing the lingering sadness in her eyes, feeling an undeniable pull toward her plight. There were plenty of reasons to politely excuse himself and return to his friend. Yet something about Olivia's story, her quiet desperation, refused to let go. Keanu had long understood the pain of feeling helpless, the sorrow of losing those you loved most. Watching her now, it was as if her vulnerability echoed his own past. "I don't want to burden you," Olivia whispered, sensing Keanu's hesitation. He shook his head gently, smiling warmly. "You're not burdening me at all. I want to hear your story." Encouraged by his genuine interest, Olivia began slowly. "My dad, he's been sick for a while. It's his liver. We knew he'd need a transplant eventually, but things moved quicker than we expected. We finally found a donor match, and just as we thought our prayers were answered, insurance denied the claim. They say it's too costly, experimental. Impossible, and now we're running out of time." Her voice faltered, eyes filling again with fresh tears. Keanu listened intently, his heart heavy with empathy. The helplessness she described was all too familiar, reigniting his own memories of loss and grief. For a brief moment, a painful shadow crossed his face, but he quickly masked it, determined to remain strong for Olivia. "You shouldn't have to face this alone," he gently reassured her. Olivia wiped her eyes, a hesitant smile forming as she looked at him with gratitude. "It's strange. I never thought someone like you would even notice someone like me, let alone care this much." "Someone like you?" Keanu asked softly, genuinely puzzled. "I mean, you're Keanu Reeves. You're famous, busy, important. I'm just someone struggling here alone." Keanu paused thoughtfully, then replied sincerely, "Everyone deserves compassion, Olivia. Fame or status has nothing to do with it. We're all human. We all need each other." Those simple words seemed to reassure her deeply, visibly easing the tension that had tightened her shoulders. As Keanu sat beside her, he realized this was the moment he couldn't ignore, the moment where stepping outside of his comfort zone felt essential. He decided inwardly he couldn't simply offer comforting words and walk away. This was a turning point, a call to action. "Listen," Keanu said firmly, breaking the silence. "I don't make promises lightly, but I'll do everything in my power to help your dad. Maybe my connections or resources can make a difference." Olivia's eyes widened, disbelief and hope intermingling. "Really? You would do that for us? But why?" Keanu looked directly into her eyes, sincerity evident in his voice. "Because I've been where you are, feeling helpless. If I can help even a little, it's worth it. His words touched something deep within her, and Olivia allowed herself to believe, for the first time in days, that things might genuinely change. She nodded slowly, her gratitude too powerful for words. After ensuring Olivia felt more stable, Keanu gently excused himself to return to Alex's room, promising to reconnect soon. Walking back down the hallway, he felt changed, his mind racing with possibilities and plans. He knew this wasn't merely a passing moment. It was a commitment he intended to honor fully. Entering Alex's room, Keanu found his friend watching him with quiet curiosity, an eyebrow raised slightly in question. "Everything okay out there?" Alex asked, concerned yet intrigued by his friend's thoughtful expression. Keanu sat down, exhaling deeply. "Yeah, actually no. I just met someone named Olivia. Her father needs urgent surgery, and they're stuck financially. It got to me. I can't just let it go." Alex gave a knowing smile, understanding his friend's heart all too well. "Well, that's exactly who you are, isn't it? Always looking out for others. It's your thing." Keanu chuckled lightly, appreciating Alex's gentle teasing. "Maybe you're right. But seriously, this feels different. It's personal somehow." Alex nodded thoughtfully. "Then follow your instincts. If anyone can help her, it's you. You've always had that gift, the ability to step beyond what's comfortable." Keanu absorbed Alex's encouragement, feeling affirmed in his decision. Over the years, he'd experienced countless moments of quiet generosity, but this encounter felt unique. It felt urgent, undeniable. He knew in his heart this wasn't merely an act of charity. It was deeply personal, meaningful, essential. As the evening progressed, Keanu stayed by Alex's bedside, yet his thoughts constantly drifted back to Olivia and her father's plight. By the time visiting hours drew to a close, his mind was already working through steps and connections he could leverage to help. This quiet evening in the hospital had unexpectedly shifted from a personal visit into a mission he never anticipated. When Keanu finally left the hospital, stepping into the cool evening air, he felt an unmistakable sense of purpose. A new determination fueled him, powerful yet quietly grounded in compassion. He knew Olivia's situation wouldn't be easy to resolve, yet he felt ready to face whatever obstacles might arise. In the days that followed, he found himself reflecting frequently on that simple yet powerful interaction, an encounter defined by empathy and a willingness to act. It reminded him clearly of the extraordinary power held within ordinary moments, when one chooses to step beyond the comfort zone into the unpredictable terrain of compassion. Keanu Reeves, the actor known for countless heroic roles, knew now he had encountered something far more significant than fiction could ever script. A genuine moment of human connection and compassion, a moment he simply could not ignore. Keanu Reeves woke up early the next morning with a lingering heaviness in his heart, his mind immediately returning to the hospital hallway and Olivia's tearful eyes. The encounter had deeply affected him, leaving a restless urgency within. After a quick breakfast, he found himself pacing around his apartment, the silence prompting him to reflect carefully on his next steps. He knew merely offering words of comfort wasn't enough. He had to do more. Determined to follow through on his promise, Keanu picked up his phone and dialed the number he had exchanged with Olivia. She answered after just 2 rings, her voice soft yet full of cautious hope. "Hello, Keanu." "Good morning, Olivia," he replied warmly. "I wanted to see how you're doing today." "Better than yesterday," she admitted with a gentle sigh. "Thanks to you, I have some hope again." "That's good to hear," he replied genuinely. "Listen, I'd like to talk more in detail about your dad's situation. Could we meet later today?" "Yes, absolutely," she responded eagerly, clearly relieved at his continued interest. They arranged to meet at a quiet cafe near the hospital. As Keanu arrived, he found Olivia already seated by the window, nervously twisting her fingers together. The sight touched him deeply, realizing just how alone she had been dealing with this heavy burden. He sat down across from her, giving her an encouraging smile. "Hey, how are you holding up?" She shrugged softly, smiling faintly, honestly still overwhelmed. But having someone listen helps more than you know. "I'm here to listen," Keanu assured her, leaning in gently. "Tell me more about your dad." Olivia took a slow breath, gathering her thoughts carefully. "My dad, Daniel, he's always been my rock. After my mom passed away, it was just the 2 of us. He worked 2 jobs, made sure I never missed anything. When he got sick, I promised myself I'd take care of him, no matter what." Keanu nodded silently, absorbing each word, recognizing the quiet strength behind her soft voice. What happened exactly? It started slowly, she continued, her eyes distant as memories surfaced. He'd tire easily, lose weight, and then came the diagnosis, advanced liver disease. The doctors said he needed a transplant soon, but we kept facing setbacks. We finally got the call about a suitable donor, and I thought that was our miracle, until the insurance turned us down. Keanu noticed tears forming in her eyes once again, though she quickly wiped them away, trying to remain strong. The raw sincerity of her struggle struck him deeply. He reached out, gently placing a comforting hand on hers, silently reassuring her. "Olivia," he said softly, his voice steady with conviction. "You're incredibly brave. It's okay to feel overwhelmed. You don't have to face this alone anymore." His words broke down the final walls she'd tried desperately to maintain. Olivia's shoulders shook gently as she allowed her tears to flow freely, trusting Keanu with her most vulnerable moments. He sat quietly, patiently waiting for her to regain composure, understanding that listening was as powerful as any other form of support he could offer. After a few moments, she lifted her eyes again, slightly embarrassed but deeply grateful. "Sorry," she whispered quietly. "No apologies needed," Keanu reassured warmly. "I've been where you are. Losing someone, or even the thought of it, can feel impossible to bear alone." Olivia looked at him curiously, sensing the depth behind his words. She hesitated briefly before asking gently, "You've been through something similar?" Keanu sighed quietly, eyes reflecting a distant sadness. "I lost my sister to leukemia many years ago. Watching her suffer, knowing there was nothing I could do, it's something that never leaves you. That's why your story resonates so strongly with me." Olivia's expression softened further, empathy clearly reflected in her eyes. "I had no idea. Not many do," Keanu admitted quietly. "It taught me the importance of compassion, of listening beyond what people say to what they're truly feeling." They fell into a brief silence, each quietly recognizing the bond of shared grief and determination forming between them. Keanu finally broke the silence, his tone filled with quiet urgency. "Olivia, I'm committed to helping you. Let's make a plan. I'll contact some people I know, specialists, friends, anyone who might help. We'll get the attention your dad's case deserves." Olivia's face brightened, eyes filling with cautious optimism. "Do you think it could really work?" "We have to try," Keanu replied confidently. "And sometimes that's all it takes." Over the following days, Keanu dove deeply into Olivia's case, making phone calls, sending emails, and using every resource at his disposal. Each day brought a little more hope, each small victory a reassurance they were moving in the right direction. Together, they visited doctors and specialists, gathered paperwork, and slowly began to assemble a supportive community around Daniel's situation. Olivia gradually regained a sense of strength, empowered by Keanu's unwavering support. She often marveled at his genuine kindness, noticing how effortlessly he listened, not only to her words but to her fears, hopes, and silent wishes. Through their shared efforts, Keanu discovered the profound depth of Olivia's resilience, her courage quietly inspiring him. Meanwhile, Olivia learned firsthand that compassion could indeed emerge from unexpected places, forever altering her perception of human kindness. One evening, as they sat in the familiar cafe reviewing their progress, Olivia looked thoughtfully at Keanu, a quiet gratitude in her eyes. "You know, meeting you has changed everything for us." Keanu smiled warmly, deeply moved by her sincerity. "It changed things for me too, Olivia. Your story reminded me why compassion matters so much." That night, returning home, Keanu felt a renewed sense of purpose. The experience had not only reignited his faith in human connection, but had also reminded him of the powerful impact one person could have by simply choosing to listen beyond words. In the midst of Olivia's despair, their paths crossing had sparked something extraordinary, proof that even the quietest acts of compassion could become the most powerful. In the days following their heartfelt meeting, Keanu found his thoughts constantly returning to Olivia and her father's critical situation. The urgency he felt to act, not merely sympathize, had become impossible to ignore. He understood clearly now that compassion was not just an emotion. It required decisive action, especially when the stakes were someone's life. Keanu spent the next morning meticulously organizing a strategy. He called trusted contacts, influential friends, and respected medical professionals, carefully laying out Olivia's father's situation. His commitment was firm. He wouldn't stop until Daniel had the support and resources he desperately needed. As he navigated numerous calls and emails, Keanu realized how deeply this pursuit resonated with him. It felt personal, driven by more than simple kindness. It was a demonstration of the fundamental principle he had come to cherish, that true compassion demanded meaningful effort and courage to act. By afternoon, he had successfully arranged a critical meeting with Dr. Marcus Lee, a renowned liver transplant specialist at St. Mary's Hospital. Keanu immediately contacted Olivia, excitement evident in his voice as he shared the good news. "Olivia," he began eagerly, "I've secured a meeting with one of the best transplant specialists in the country. We're going to meet him tomorrow morning." Olivia's voice trembled with relief. "I can't believe it, Keanu. You've done so much already." "It's the least I could do," Keanu responded softly but earnestly. "I promised you I'd help, and I meant it." The following day, Keanu and Olivia arrived early at Dr. Anticipation mingling with hope. As they sat in the waiting area, Keanu noticed Olivia's nervousness. He gently squeezed her hand, offering silent reassurance. Lee soon appeared, greeting them warmly. "Mr. Reeves, Olivia, please come in." Inside his office, Lee carefully reviewed Daniel's medical records, his expression serious yet compassionate. "It's clear Daniel's condition requires urgent action," he stated thoughtfully. "Finding a suitable donor is the immediate priority, along with ensuring funding." "We had a donor," Olivia interjected softly, "but insurance denied the coverage." Lee nodded gravely. "Unfortunately, that happens frequently. Reeves' support, we can revisit this issue with more leverage." Keanu spoke firmly, his voice carrying quiet authority. "Whatever is necessary, I'll ensure the funding is available. Let's do everything possible to save Daniel's life." Dr. Lee smiled, clearly moved by Keanu's sincerity. "Your willingness to help is commendable. Together, we'll make a strong case." As they left the meeting, Olivia turned to Keanu, her eyes shimmering with gratitude. "I don't even know how to thank you." He shook his head gently. "You don't need to thank me. I just believe that compassion without action isn't enough." Later that afternoon, Keanu reached out to his network again, making appeals to influential figures who could amplify their cause. He began sharing Olivia's story discreetly but powerfully, highlighting the urgency and importance of immediate action. Gradually, support started pouring in from various corners, creating a wave of encouragement and hope. As days turned into weeks, Keanu was relentless. Every phone call, every conversation reinforced his conviction. True compassion was defined by what one chose to do, not just feel. He began spending more time with Olivia and Daniel, visiting them regularly at the hospital. Each visit deepened his bond with them, their gratitude fueling his determination. One evening, after another long day of advocating for Daniel, Keanu sat beside Olivia in the hospital's quiet waiting room. She looked at him with quiet wonder, finally asking, "Keanu, why are you doing this for us? I mean, you're going above and beyond." He smiled thoughtfully, considering his response carefully. "Because I genuinely believe caring about others means stepping forward, doing something tangible. When my sister got sick, I remember feeling so helpless. Now, if I have the means or ability to help someone, I feel obligated to act." Olivia nodded gently, her expression deeply reflective. "You've taught me a powerful lesson. Compassion isn't passive, it requires real courage." "Exactly," Keanu replied softly, deeply touched by her understanding. In the weeks that followed, their collective efforts began to bear fruit. Media attention gradually grew around Daniel's story, capturing public interest. Donations started coming in, each act of generosity reinforcing the profound impact one person's determination could inspire. Keanu continued advocating tirelessly, his humility and genuine kindness winning the hearts of many. Despite the public recognition, he remained grounded, consistently redirecting attention toward Daniel's situation rather than himself. One evening, Daniel, awake and alert, reached out to Keanu during a visit. "Thank you," he whispered softly, his eyes reflecting deep appreciation. "You've restored my faith in humanity." Keanu gently squeezed Daniel's hand, replying earnestly, "You reminded me of the same thing, Daniel. Your fight and courage are inspiring." Daniel smiled faintly, clearly moved. "You've shown Olivia what true kindness is. That's something I'll never forget." Olivia stood quietly nearby, tears streaming silently down her face, overwhelmed by the heartfelt moment shared between her father and Keanu. This was not merely charity. It was genuine, heartfelt compassion that had translated into tangible, life-changing action. When the transplant date was finally confirmed, Keanu felt a powerful sense of fulfillment. He had taken a leap from simply empathizing with Olivia's plight to actively participating in a transformative journey, forever redefining what compassion meant to him. On the day of the surgery, Keanu sat quietly with Olivia, awaiting news. The hours passed slowly, tension thickening the air. When Dr. Lee emerged with a reassuring smile, announcing the successful transplant, the waiting room erupted with relief and joy. Keanu embraced Olivia warmly, sharing a moment of profound relief and gratitude. This journey had proven to him once more that the truest expressions of compassion were found not just in feelings, but in courageous, unwavering action. In choosing to step forward, Keanu had not only helped save Daniel's life, but had also discovered something powerful within himself, a hero's heart, forever revealed through compassionate action. As Daniel began recovering steadily after the successful transplant surgery, Keanu reflected deeply on the journey they had undertaken together. He realized clearly now that his role wasn't finished yet. There was still more he could do. Throughout this process, he'd witnessed firsthand how the power of a single voice, especially one amplified by fame, could create waves of change far greater than he'd ever imagined. Keanu had always maintained a humble, private life, cautious about how he leveraged his public image. Fame, for him, was simply a byproduct of his passion for acting, never an end in itself. However, watching Daniel and Olivia struggle against obstacles that could have easily overwhelmed them, he understood the profound responsibility and potential his celebrity status offered. One evening, sitting in his quiet living room, Keanu carefully composed a heartfelt message to his vast network of followers on social media. He chose each word deliberately, his intention clear. He wanted not only to share Daniel's inspiring story, but also to shine a light on the systemic issues preventing countless others from accessing critical medical care. The response was swift and overwhelming. Within minutes, his message started trending, thousands sharing and resharing his heartfelt appeal. Celebrities, influencers, and ordinary individuals alike joined in, spreading awareness and encouraging donations to support not only Daniel but others facing similar battles. The media quickly took notice, and soon Keanu found himself receiving interview requests from major outlets eager to amplify the story further. Initially hesitant, he realized that stepping into the spotlight now served a deeper purpose. This wasn't about self-promotion. It was about using his voice to uplift and advocate for those who couldn't be heard otherwise. In his first televised interview, Keanu spoke candidly about the powerful impact Daniel's story had on him personally. Fame, he explained sincerely, can be empty unless it serves something greater. Daniel's fight for life and Olivia's unyielding support showed me that celebrity means nothing if it can't bring positive change. His sincerity resonated deeply with viewers, humanizing him even further in the public eye. The interview prompted even greater support and awareness, inspiring people globally to take similar compassionate actions in their own communities. Donations to hospitals and medical charities surged dramatically, driven by the powerful sincerity of Keanu's call to action. As momentum continued to build, Keanu actively engaged with organizations advocating healthcare reforms, attending meetings and events aimed at addressing systemic healthcare barriers. He listened intently, using his influence to amplify expert voices and advocate for meaningful policy changes. Each event solidified his commitment to leveraging his celebrity status responsibly, ensuring it always served a higher purpose. One afternoon, following a successful public awareness event, Olivia approached Keanu with visible gratitude and admiration. "You've changed everything for us and for so many others," she said softly. "Seeing you use your fame to help people, it gives us all hope." Keanu smiled gently, humble yet clearly moved by her words. "Honestly, Olivia, all I've done is use the platform I was fortunate to have. But you and Daniel inspired the real change. Your courage taught everyone the value of fighting for something beyond themselves." Despite the ongoing attention, Keanu remained consistently modest, always redirecting focus toward those directly affected. His actions quietly but profoundly shifted the public's perception of fame and celebrity. Fans and critics alike admired how authentically he demonstrated the true potential of his platform. As Daniel's recovery progressed steadily, Keanu continued visiting regularly, nurturing their deepening friendship. During one quiet visit at the hospital, Daniel looked directly at Keanu, his voice full of gratitude and respect. "Keanu, I never imagined someone with your level of fame would care so genuinely about people like us. You've shown the world that celebrity can truly serve humanity." Keanu replied thoughtfully, genuinely moved by Daniel's heartfelt words. "Daniel, fame is nothing unless it stands for something meaningful. Helping you and Olivia made me realize just how powerful and impactful one voice can be when used for good." Their conversation further strengthened Keanu's resolve. He realized clearly that his newfound advocacy work would become a lifelong commitment, far exceeding the initial help offered to Daniel and Olivia. The experience had permanently transformed his view of celebrity, reinforcing his belief that fame should always be aligned with meaningful purpose. Throughout this process, Keanu frequently encountered people who shared how his efforts had personally impacted their own lives, sparking countless acts of kindness and advocacy within communities worldwide. Each interaction deepened his sense of responsibility, confirming his belief that a single voice, especially one amplified by fame, could indeed create lasting, meaningful change. Months later, as Daniel was finally discharged from the hospital, healthy and smiling, Keanu stood proudly by his side. A crowd of supporters and media gathered around, eager to celebrate Daniel's remarkable recovery and the community-driven victory it represented. As Daniel thanked everyone, he turned toward Keanu with unmistakable gratitude, publicly acknowledging the role Keanu's voice had played. "I'm standing here today because one person decided his fame could mean more than personal glory," Daniel declared passionately. Keanu Reeves showed us that true celebrity comes not from wealth or fame itself, but from how you use that power to uplift others. Keanu listened quietly, profoundly humbled yet deeply satisfied. He knew Daniel's words resonated far beyond this single event, serving as a powerful reminder to everyone present about the genuine purpose of fame. Walking away from the hospital that day, Keanu felt an undeniable sense of fulfillment. His journey with Daniel and Olivia had forever changed how he viewed his role in the world. Fame had indeed found its true purpose, not in personal glory, but in the quiet, determined commitment to use one's voice for the greater good. The powerful response from Keanu's initial outreach to the public was swift and astounding, rapidly transforming Daniel's personal struggle into a global phenomenon. What had started as a simple plea for support quickly became a powerful symbol of humanity and collective compassion. Keanu himself was astonished at how quickly his heartfelt message resonated around the world, turning a personal story into a movement of empathy and action. The morning Daniel finally returned home was bright and filled with promise, sunlight warming the streets of Los Angeles as if to celebrate a remarkable victory. Keanu arrived at Daniel and Olivia's modest home early, eager to witness and share in the joy of this extraordinary moment. After months of struggle, advocacy, and healing, it felt surreal to finally stand together at the threshold of a fresh beginning. As Keanu walked through their door, he was greeted warmly by Olivia, who embraced him tightly, her eyes shining with joyful tears. "Today wouldn't be possible without you," she whispered softly, voice trembling with sincere gratitude. Keanu smiled gently, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "I only did what anyone would have done. You and Daniel showed the real strength, the true heroism." She shook her head gently, her eyes glistening. "You're wrong, Keanu. Heroism isn't just about strength. It's about choosing to act when you could have done nothing. That's what you did." Before Keanu could respond, Daniel emerged from his room, visibly healthier and full of life. His warm smile broadened when he saw Keanu, stepping forward eagerly. The two men embraced firmly, a shared understanding of gratitude and friendship passing silently between them. "Welcome home, Daniel," Keanu said warmly, stepping back and offering a proud smile. Daniel laughed softly, visibly emotional. "I wasn't sure this day would ever come, but here we are, thanks to you, my friend." The trio moved into the living room, settling comfortably as Daniel recounted his reflections during the months spent recovering. "Lying in that hospital bed," Daniel began thoughtfully, "I had plenty of time to think about what really matters: health, family, and the incredible kindness of strangers like you. It's funny how clarity comes in our darkest moments." Keanu nodded solemnly, appreciating Daniel's honesty and depth of insight. "You've shown us all what real courage looks like, Daniel. The strength it took to face this and keep fighting, it inspired more people than you'll ever know." Daniel smiled, his eyes clear with profound emotion. "You know, Keanu, heroes usually appear in films or books, scripted and flawless. But real-life heroes, there's something else entirely. They choose to act without the assurance of a happy ending. That's exactly what you did. Keanu absorbed Daniel's words humbly, feeling a powerful sense of fulfillment. His entire career had revolved around playing heroes, yet this journey had revealed the genuine meaning of heroism, a selfless commitment to compassion, courage, and humanity, without scripts or second takes. Throughout the afternoon, friends and neighbors visited, filling the house with warmth and celebration. They brought food, shared stories, and congratulated Daniel on his remarkable recovery. Each guest expressed deep admiration and gratitude toward Keanu, who graciously redirected their praise toward Daniel and Olivia. His humility only deepened their respect and affection. As the evening approached, Olivia took Keanu aside, her expression earnest. "There's something we wanted you to see," she said quietly, leading him toward a small room at the back of their house. Inside, Keanu found himself surrounded by walls covered with letters, photos, and messages from people around the world whose lives had been touched by the campaign he'd inspired. Letters of gratitude, solidarity, and hope filled every available space, each one a heartfelt testimony to the global impact of his compassion. Keanu stood quietly, deeply moved as he read the powerful words of strangers who had taken the time to share how profoundly their lives had been affected. Olivia stood beside him, her voice soft yet steady. "We wanted you to see the magnitude of your impact," she said gently. "This is the hero you've become, not scripted, not rehearsed, but genuine and real." Keanu turned toward her, clearly moved beyond words. He nodded gently, gratitude shining brightly in his eyes. "This is incredible, Olivia. But remember, none of this could have happened without you and Daniel's strength. You both inspired all of this." She smiled softly, her expression sincere. "Maybe, but it was your choice, your willingness to step forward, that made it all possible." Returning to the gathering, Keanu felt a deep sense of peace. He'd spent his entire career portraying heroes, characters created and scripted for film. Yet this experience had taught him the true nature of heroism. Ordinary people making extraordinary choices, driven purely by compassion and humanity. Later that night, as guests began departing, Daniel stood to offer a final heartfelt toast. Raising his glass high, his voice resonant and clear, he addressed the room passionately. "Today, I stand here healthy, surrounded by family, friends, and community, because one person chose to be more than a celebrity." Keanu showed us all that heroes exist, not on screens or pages, but in real life, driven by genuine kindness. His actions taught us that true heroism doesn't need a script, it just needs a heart willing to act. The room erupted in warm applause, cheers echoing loudly. Keanu smiled humbly, feeling deeply honored yet determinately modest. Daniel's words captured perfectly the essence of his newfound understanding. As Keanu prepared to leave, Olivia hugged him tightly once more, her voice soft yet profoundly powerful. "Never forget this, Keanu. You've proven that anyone can change lives. Heroism lives inside all of us, waiting only for a moment of courage." Driving home that night, Keanu reflected quietly on Olivia's words, recognizing their deep truth. Heroism, he now clearly understood, wasn't found in grand gestures or cinematic moments. It was discovered in simple choices, choosing compassion over comfort, action over indifference, humanity over self-interest. He realized profoundly that everyone possesses the power to be a hero, to act, to help, to heal. No script could ever capture that truth as powerfully as real life could. Keanu Reeves had finally become a real-life superhero, not through fame or fiction, but through the quiet, courageous act of choosing kindness. And in doing so, he reminded the world that heroism was never out of reach. It was and always would be within us all. Thank you for watching. If the story touches your heart, subscribe to the channel and like the video because we have more awesome stories like this daily.